Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I would like to share with you some basic opening that a lot of beginners could try. So normally when my students just started to learn opening, I would suggest them to use this center cannon opening. The reason being, the center cannon will immediately attack the most important center pawn of your opponent. And normally, all beginners will learn to use the horse or the knight to protect the center pawn, which is a horse at +7. And the basic three moves that we normally use in the opening will be cannon 2 to 5, followed by knight or horse 2+3, which will allow the knight or rook to come up in the next move, which is the most important piece in XiangQi. Is equivalent to the power of a queen in the international chess. And normally after this, your opponent will play rook 9 to 8. Since your cannon is no longer at this position, now black will always play rook 9 to 8, which is one of the priority. And red will follow up with rook 1 to 2 and to prepare to attack black. So under this scenario, what options does black has? Normally, black will play pawn 7+1, and some of the beginners must be wondering why. Is this the best option? Why couldn't I play anything else? So actually, you could. If you play horse 2+3, it will immediately make this opening become a screen horse defense, which is also a popular opening, normally found in despite you playing, regardless whether you play online or you go for tournament. So screen horse defense is very popular in China, but if you did not play P7+1 earlier on, your opponent at this point of time could have played P3+1, and of course you would normally respond with P3+1 also to balance the opening, because there is no reason that if you play anything else, for example, if you play E3+5, your opponent could have played P7+1. And with these 2 pawns ahead, both your horses are basically blocked by your own pawn, when this will give you a lot of disadvantage in the mid game later. So let's get back to the advantage of playing P7+1 first. So what's the benefit of doing this? There's a reason behind it. So if black played cannon 8 to 4 first, let's say black is very afraid of red's rook coming across and attack the horse normally, black could always play cannon 8+4. This is to prevent rooks from going over. And normally under this scenario, your opponent will very likely play P3+1. So what's the purpose of playing P3+1? This will allow your host to play horse 3+4 later on. Okay, let's see what happened if your opponent is not familiar with this opening and he made a mistake in the opening in which he played P3+1 as well, because maybe he or she is a beginner. They thought that finding the balance is the utmost importance right now, and they did not realize that by playing P3+1 is actually a bad choice at this point of time, because red has this center cannon aiming at your center pawn, and now with the help of my horse or knight, I could have played horse 3+4. So now I have two attackers, which is the cannon and the horse, aiming at the center pawn. And if you use the screen horse defense right now, is a bit risky and could lead you to a lot of trouble. Why? The reason being, now my rook or chariot is aiming at your cannon. I know I couldn't take it because your rook or chariot is protecting it. But with the help of my horse, I can actually take it later on. So now my pawn is blocking my own knight, my horse, so it couldn't take the cannon over here. So there's a very practical move that I could use right now, which is a p3+1. So by playing this move p3+1, I will immediately have my knight and my chariot aiming at your cannon. So if you play p7+1, I can easily just play rook 2+3. And with this exchange, black is already down by one cannon. So this is definitely a no-no for black. So would it be better if in the beginning, before I play cannon at +4, let's try it with the mixture of p7+1. So under this scenario, let's again assume that red is not familiar with opening. He or she doesn't know which is the priority that need to be taken care of. So let's say player red play p7+1, and again this is all back to balancing the opening, and this is also one of the wrong choices at this point of time. Why is that? Because if you play p7+1, your opponent definitely will play cannon at +4. So now as we could see right here, you will notice that this time black playing cannon at +4, closing in red's rook from going over, and at the same time, with the help of p7+1, now red's horse on the third file couldn't move forward to play horse 3+4 to attack this cannon, because now the pawn is here. It will prevent red from playing p3+1, and your horse couldn't go forward, and that's why if black play with the help of p3+1, go for the cannon at +4, then definitely you are very safe on the left side. And for the black's next few moves, it's very likely that all he or she need to do is develop the right side, make sure it's properly balanced, and you should be able to play a better mid game later on. So that was why when our opponent play p7+1, the right move for red is actually rook 2+6 to move your rook going across and start pressuring your opponent. So normally at this point of time, your opponent has to complete the screen horse defense opening. You couldn't do a trade by playing cannon a9 at this point of time. The reason being, your knight is protecting the center pawn and the chariot at the same time, which is definitely a huge burden by the horse. So if you play this blunder, then I could go for the trade. And after that, just easily use my center cannon to take the most important center pawn. So in XiangQi, this is one of the situation that we do not wish to happen, because once my cannon is in the center, basically your advisor or your elephant cannot move to the center, and this will leave your king very uh, vulnerable. So red could play cannon at +2 later on to go for the double cannon checkmate. And for example, if I want to chase it away, you can see that red would just play cannon 5-1. If you play, for example, horse at +7, red will play cannon at +2 to go for the double cannon checkmate. And black could only play king 5+1 so that you have an escape route. Of course, under this scenario, is still a very difficult position for black to play, because red could just play maybe uh, chariot 9+1, and later on I can go for a double cannon checkmate. For example, if you move anything else, I'll just go for this and go for a simple kill. Alright, guys. So this is what we do not wish to see happening in the opening. If you lose it this way, it's a bit too soon, and I don't believe you would enjoy the game as much. All right, so that is why Black will definitely play horse 2 plus 3, and like I have mentioned earlier, is one of basic knowledge that we all players have to know, which is we always search for the balance. Of course, at this point of time, you can always play horse at +7, no problem. That is one of the option. But for beginners, I would strongly suggest you play P7+1. This is again to find the balance. And so once you have reached up to this point, basically you are doing quite well for your opening as red. And right now, black has a few options, which is the uh, chariot thread option. Normally, red will prevent from trading. Will play chariot 2 to 3 to keep on pressuring the horse, and black will play cannon 9-1 to chase it away, because the cannon on the right side is protecting your horse on the 7th file. All right, on the 7th file. And besides this, what option does black also have? Black can always play this Riverbank horse, which is used to be one of my favorite opening. Horse 7+6. With the horse at this position, later on I can always play P7+1 to chase away this rook over here. And of course, we will come to this opening later on, and in the next videos I will start explaining, because there are a lot of variations here. It will take me a lot of maybe a few videos to give you a clearer picture of how this opening will develop. And apart from this and riverbank horse opening, we also have e3+5. E3+5 is a bit tactical, and it's actually more like setting a trap for red. What do I mean by that? Because as you notice here, for the sprint horse defense, if you play e3+5, both of your horses are no longer protected by both the cannons. So meaning that if red plays chariot 2 to 3 or rook 2 to 3, I can immediately take your horse over here. But that is the purpose of black, hoping that you will play chariot 2 to 3, and black could follow up with horse 3-5. And you guys must be wondering, Russell, are you sure this is the right move? It looks a bit dangerous, because in my previous videos I always advise my fellow YouTube friends not to play e3-5, because by placing your horse in front of your king is very dangerous, since both your advisors are not uh, movable, and that will cause a lot of trouble to your king. However, this is one of the trap that black could use in this variation. So if red continues to develop the left side, since the right side it looks pretty okay, the left side is not completed yet. Now black could play cannon 2+1. And do you guys know what's the purpose of me playing this move? Ah, if red is unfamiliar with this move, perhaps he could make a mistake. Maybe he or she will play cannon 8 to 9, and now black can just play p3+1, and you will notice that now the cannon is aiming at your rook, and your rook, there is no way to escape. It's either you take the horse or you take the center pawn. But regardless of what your options are, you are down by one chariot, which is definitely a huge disadvantage in XiangQi. So normally our opponent will go for rook 3+1, taking the horse, and black will very happily take your chariot and continue to develop the game with a lot of advantage. All right. So this is a few simple introduction, and of course the one another popular variation will be e7+5. What's the purpose of playing e7+5? Is it similar to the one that when red pressure your horse here, you can play e3-5? No, the answer is a bit different because if I play e7 plus 5, it's actually to give way, to give a space for your chariot on the 8th file to move to traverse to the 7th file, protecting the horse first. Then later on I could proceed with the same tactic or the technique, which is cannon 2 plus 1, followed up by p3 plus 1 to capture the chariot over here. Alright? So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Today is just a simple introduction of the options that uh, black could have after he or she play P7 plus 1. Alright, so if you enjoy this video, please feel free to subscribe to my channel so that next time when I upload the next explanation or variation, you will be the first to know. And do help me a favor, if you do not mind, do share with your fellow friends who are still learning XiangQi because I will focus a few videos on opening so that a lot of people know what to play when they first adapt to playing Sanchi. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy my video. Okay, see you next time. Alright, bye.